this on? Yes. Thanks again for inviting us to present here. Yeah, I'm Mirjam. I'm the community builder at the RIPE NCC, and I deal a lot with more technical projects. And this is Xavier. He works for the Registration Services Department, so we do a bit of a double act here. I'll start, and he takes over, and we'll talk a bit about more IP policy-related topics, and then I'll go and talk a bit about technical services. Let's see, where are we? What is this doing automatically? Go back. Oh, this is the overview, you know, I'll start. If you want to sit down, I'll let you know when you're done.
Do you want to?
No, I can do it if you sit down. Yeah. Yeah, so just a few words about what the RIPE NCC is, and then Xavier, as I mentioned, will talk a bit more about IPv4 runout and current policies that are under discussion. We'll show you some statistics about IPv4, IPv6, and also here in France. And then I'll, at the end, go through some of the tools and measurements that might be interesting for you also to use. For those of you who don't know, the RIPE NCC is one of the 5 regional internet registries that operates in Europe and the Middle East. We started in 1992, and in 1997 we became an independent membership association in the Netherlands. We're located in Amsterdam. And we are mostly, our main core business is to support ISPs and operators in our service region and to hand out IP resources to our membership. We currently have over 9,000 members, 9,500 members. We've seen a bit of an increase recently when we started allocating IPv4 from the last /8. But it's a good increase, but it's not a dramatic jump that we've seen to that. And yeah, we are independent and neutral, open, like membership association similar to France AXIS as well. Here you see all the 5 regions of all the 5 RIRs, and that big yellow blob there on top is the RIPE NCC service region. So we cover a lot of Russia, some of the STAN regions in Central Asia as well, and down to the Middle East, and then core Europe. We're probably mostly known for our membership services, like the IP addresses and AS numbers that we hand out to our members, to local internet registries, as we call them. And for members, we also provide a whole range of services and tools and trainings. But we also have our list of public services, like the RIPE database that has been mentioned before. We're also running a root server, we're running KRoot. Obviously, we also operate the reverse DNS related to the IP addresses we're giving out. We're organizing a whole list of meetings in our service region, the RIPE meetings, but also more specific regional, like for specific regions, regional meetings. And we have a list of other public tools and services that I'll come to later on. Now it's your turn, Xavier.
Okay, I will do a small update about the policy at the moment since the last /8. Basically, we run out of IPv4 address, everybody knows about it. Since the 14th of September 2012, we hit what is called the last /8. So basically, the RIPE communities that involve members, but also the community at large, decided to have a specific policy for the last /8, which involved, for example, distributing to all LARs allocation of a /22 when they come to request it. So it's the last and only /22. This is an obligation. You need to have at least an IPv6 allocation. You need to be a member, of course. What else? We have, in that policy of the last /8, another part that was dedicated to have a bit of IPv4 still available for a new entrant like IXP exchange point. And basically, you can see that the communities thought, okay, let's reserve a /16 for potential IXP that would need or to increase the current IP addresses, let's say, for example, from /24 to /23, but also new entrants. So this is based on peering LAN. It means it's not all the servers and things that are the infrastructure are not counted in this assignment. So it's only for peering LAN. And otherwise, you need to have a minimum of 3 members. So this is an important point in that is like provider independent address space that were previously the type of address that was basically assigned for this kind of services, internet exchange point assignment, are not anymore part of this /8. So it might be that you have some of your customers or that needs IPv4 address. You need to be aware that this is not existing anymore. What else? About the IPv4 transfers. Oh, it was decided basically to have a way to justify the transfer of allocation. This is the minimum transferable allocation size is a /22. You can qualify when you reach already, let's say, if you have already allocations, you need to reach a usage of 80%. It's evaluated by the RIPE NCC. The current transfer policy is going quite smoothly, I have to say, because the requests that they have received are pretty well planned, and it's going pretty smoothly. We will see in a short some stats about it. What else? We have some current policy out of 7 proposal. There's 2 that are really discussed at the moment, that are the no need or the post-depletion cleanup, which is like basically taking out a bit the bureaucracy that have been built up to basically fulfill the goal of conservation. That was one of the main goal, and it's still with IPv4, but with the few IPv4 remaining, it became less important in itself for the community that decided maybe we should make something about it. What else? Another policy that is pretty that is discussed at the moment is inter-area transfer, and that might also be interesting for you. Further about the post-IPv4 runout, what has been created is what is called a listing service. So it means that LAR can exchange allocations that they don't use, for example. That might be handy for you if you're, for example, needing some address space or some customer of yours. It might be a way to achieve certain goal. What you need to do, of course, be an LAR. You can do it via the portal. Currently, you can see that the offer are small compared to the demand. There's also a way to make transfer, by the way. It's not only through the listing services. The same about the legacy resources. So we're talking about legacy resources is the address space that were distributed before the area system, basically. And those, they are, it's possible to transfer them. What we are keen on is to make the RIPE database accurate for all of you operators to be able to do properly your job also. Let's carry on. So if we look at the transfer that were done since the end of, since the September 2012, you can see that it went really smoothly, and all of a sudden it becomes much more important. So now we are running around the same pace, I would say, which is not so huge. It's around like 18, 20 transfer per month. So, you know, you can pass through different ways. It can be an IPv4 brokers that would make the intermediary between 2 organizations. It can be also 2 LAR that come and say, we find an agreement together. There's different things here that can be achieved. At the end of the day, it reflects quite of it's not like a rush or it's important to mention that. So now that we've been talking about the IPv4, let's go more about the IPv6 itself and the last /8. If you look here, the numbers in those stats, they represent the overall total of members and the overall total of allocations that were distributed since the September 2012. So as you can see, which is, well, it's pretty interesting to see that. In France, for example, it's the red column. You can see that it's around 10% of the entire allocation that have been distributed in the last year, that it's IPv4, IPv6, 10% overall, which is quite good, because in fact, we are in the French LAR are only 5% of the entire LAR in the region. So it shows that there were a need to get more allocation, but also IPv6 allocation, because it's quite important that you see in those numbers are reflected also the new allocation. So /32 to a /29 it can be requested to the RIPE NCC as a first allocation. You don't need to have more details or pay extra fee. It's the initial allocation. It can be done that way. The really important warning that we would like to, well, or what we recommend is more likely to be, is to mention to your customer or even to you, when you request the last /22 of IPv4, keep in mind that the rationale behind the policy change was based on having some IPv4 for the new entrants to the internet business, but also for transition mechanism. So transition mechanism, it's not like to just assign all the IPv4 to the POP. Keep a bit of IPv4, it might be needed for transition mechanism. Now that we've been talking about the IPv4, let's go to IPv6. So IPv6 ripeness. We've been trying to gather the information from the different data set that we have to basically rate and to give a way to show how IPv6 is doing in our region. So what we looked at, it was, first of all, if the LARs had an IPv6 allocation. Otherwise, if they registered what is called a root 6 object, so the announcement of that specific IPv6 prefix, and otherwise if they configured reverse DNS. And the 4 stars was about if they announce the prefix itself. If we look overall, you see that there's around 20% of LARs in the RIPE region, so around 9,500 LARs, that have the 4 stars, where around 36% do not have any IPv6 at the moment. So there's quite of an interesting information if we compare to France, in fact, because it's exactly, except the numbers of people with IPv6, is exactly the same for the people announcing, so 20% also. So the overall, it shows also that France is pretty, is doing well in trying to make the transition to v6. Now, let's look at the announcement of those IPv6 prefix. Here, this graph is showing you basically what is the numbers of AS, or the percentages of AS overall, with the country code in France. And the yellow line is about the overall. If you look, the blue line, for example, is the UK, and the red line is France. So it shows that there's quite a bunch of us announcing the IPv6 prefix. It's quite interesting to see that, in fact, there's a lot of things going on here. That's it for the IPv6 slides. If you would like to have any further information about specific requests or stuff that are related to your organization, don't hesitate to contact me during the day. I will be around. And anything that you need, you just ask it, okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Xavier. Now I'm taking over again. All these statistics are also publicly available on the website, obviously. This one, as Xavier said, shows the percentage of ASs announcing IPv6 prefixes in France, and it's actually doing pretty well compared to the average in other countries. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about RIPE Labs for those of you who don't know what that is. Well, it's basically a website, but more importantly, maybe it's like a platform that we've set up a few years ago for the community, and it's an open platform. The RIPE NCC uses it mostly to update our membership, but also the wider community about new tools we develop, new features, measurements, statistics that we provide, kind of techie stuff, but also recently we've also started updating our community about our involvement in internet governance and similar topics. So it's quite a wide range of topics that we cover there. But it's also open to others. So we also have external contributions from other community members who are working on an interesting tool or who've looked at certain measurements that they found interesting and thought it might be useful for others in the community as well. So have a look at labs.ripe.net. Looks like this. It's pretty much a blog. On the left-hand side, you have like the articles or the blog entries that we publish there. And you got some other links on the front page. A link to statistics. I'm going to come to that in a second. To Tag Cloud and some current links. Currently, there's one on that points to the roadmap, but it could also be pointing to our survey that we've just done recently. So it's quite simple. And there is, as I said, a whole bunch of topics covered on RIPE Labs. A lot, obviously, when we publish stuff ourselves, is obviously a lot about the data that we have internally, what IPv4, v6, AS numbers, routing, and also updates about our tools, new APIs we've developed, and others, and also, as I said, external articles. Yeah, not so long ago, we published the statistics dashboard, as we call it. It's on labs.ripe.net/statistics. And all the statistics that Xavier just showed and many, many more are available there. And you can find anything related to our membership, how many members with v6, with v4, meeting statistics, IPv6 statistics, various other topics. They're all tagged, so you can kind of click through and find also country-related statistics, so you can compare your country with others. That's a well-received page, so we can see the usage is quite high on that page. And most of the stats are automatically updated, so you can keep track of the developments in the region. Now to another tool that we started developing is RIPE Atlas. How many here of you have a RIPE Atlas probe in their network? Oh yeah, quite a number of people. So you can stop listening now. No, I'm going to have some news as well, so keep listening. RIPE Atlas was developed more than a year ago now, I think. And the idea is to have these little measurement devices. They currently look like this in your network, and they do active measurements. They're powered by USB, and they have an Ethernet port, and they do active measurements like pings and trace routes, and SSL and some DNS, and we're also working on HTTP measurements. And then they collect all the measurements. You can use them internally in your own network. You see, how things are going. But they're also collected in a large database, if you will, and at the RIPE NCC, and we make them public. And so they can be used by others as well to see the state of the internet, if you will. Currently, we have more than 4,000 of these measurement probes worldwide. Most of them are located in Europe, but but also in other regions, and actually all the continents. We have probes at the moment. They're for free. We give them out. You just have to promise that you plug them in and make the data available. There are a number of interesting use cases recently. One not so recently, when the Sandy storm hit the east coast of the US, we actually used the Atlas infrastructure to see how traffic got rerouted around that area that was impacted by the storm. And that was quite interesting to see because it also had an impact on regions far away from the impacted area, but it showed that traffic really got rerouted and didn't get blocked or anything, so that was good to verify. Another use case recently, actually, colleague Stefan Borsmeyer from AFNIC did use the Atlas infrastructure to check the different Anycast servers for .fr and which ones, might need more bandwidth, or what the measurement, the ping and trace routes from the Atlas probes to which Anycast servers they went. So that was interesting, and I just learned also that one of the exchange points in another country, not here in France, used the RIPE Atlas infrastructure to check the impact. They're considering installing a root server, and they're checking the impact it might have on their network. And so it's now, because there are so many of them, it's constantly growing. People are really using it for their own operations, which is nice to see. We recently also started developing so-called RIPE Atlas anchors, and they're pretty much just bigger probes. They have more memory. They're currently only, I think, 20 or so. There were volunteers in the community who said they would buy a box, and these ones aren't for free because they're a bit bigger and they need more maintenance. And so they were testing that. They have more measurement. You can do more measurements on these. They have more memory, and we're also looking to set them up such that they can act as targets for all the other probes. So they kind of act as a big probe in the middle of the ocean of smaller Atlas probes around them in a certain region. Currently, they're kind of connected to each other, so there's a full mesh of all these Atlas anchors. And we're looking for new hosts for these anchors in the future, probably around the next RIPE meeting. And you'll hear more about that there. But if you're interested, let me know. And the Atlas anchor developers, the RIPE Atlas developers at the RIPE NCC, they're constantly working on new features and new graphs. And there is a new graph now for the ping measurements. We can zoom in, and it looks similar to RIPE-Stat, which I'm coming to now. RIPE-Stat is another tool or interface that we developed a while ago. It's kind of a one-stop shop for everything you always wanted to know about. Well, it started out with our own data sets, like IP addresses, stuff we got from our routing information servers. But we also included other data sets like blacklists, geographic information, geolocation. And so there are a whole bunch of these widgets, these little interfaces that you can use to find out everything about UIS, for instance. There's historic data in there. There's like 10 years of routing data in there that you can find out. And so the goal is really to have all this in one interface that is usable for operators. And there are frequent updates on RIPE Labs if you want to keep track of that. And it's just the URL you can see there at stat.ripe.net. One tool, one little widget that we included there recently was the BG Play, which was quite popular and then kind of dropped off the horizon, and now it's back and integrated in RIPE-Stat. So there was a nice collaboration with the University in Rome in that case. And also recently, I don't know if I have a slide on that, that one's also interesting. People always ask us about country-specific statistics, how they compare with their country. The OECD, for instance, and similar organizations, they're also interested in that, governments. And so we have a set of statistics there, or little tools where you can specify a country and see how the resources are doing in that particular country. And the top one I wanted to mention, there was also a collaboration, in fact, with MLabs, the measurement lab, where we took the data gathered by MLab at the measurement lab and put our visualization tool on top of that, which is now also available in RIPE-Stat. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say, in case there are questions. At just the last slide, I wanted to point you to a number of meetings that are coming up. I don't know if you're in the neighborhood of Kiev next week. There's like a regional meeting for our members in that region, Russia, Ukraine, surrounding countries. In October, we have the RIPE meeting in Athens. And you're all welcome to join us there. You'll hear much more about all these tools and our services there. And this is a bit far away, but I wanted to put it on there already. I don't know if you have any business in Southeast Europe. We have a meeting in Sofia next year that you're, of course, also welcome to join. I think that's all I had. Are there any questions? As like Xavier said, I'm also around all day, so if you want to have any questions or you want to have a look at any of the tools on my screen or whatever, then please let me know. Thank you.